Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Grace Hatfield from EHS Daily Advisor, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Faces of EHS. This is a segment where we feature environmental health and safety professionals and highlight their journeys and hear their thoughts about EHS trends and issues. Today, we are joined by Clint Fritz, who is the Safety Programs and Risk Manager at Nelson Brothers. So, hi, Clint, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Grace.
Good. So, can you tell us a little bit about your position at Nelson Brothers and what you do as a company?
Yeah, so I'm a safety programs and risk manager for Nelson Brothers. We are a chemical manufacturing company, mainly in the explosive industry, handling and distributing explosive chemicals and our specialty chemical division as well uh, in scratch.
Alrighty, so let's jump right into it. How'd you get your start in EHS?
So I was a plant manager at a chemical manufacturing facility, and just the experience of having the safety and the regulatory compliance piece of that, I learned quite a bit in that role. But I was looking for something a little more, and so I kind of ventured out into a new position that our company that I was working for at the time had created, and it was a safety, health, environmental quality, and security manager position. And so that's actually kicked off my career.
Awesome. So, who's been your biggest influence in the industry?
My biggest influence would have to be a consultant that I worked with, Lynn Janneman, manager director at Lake Point Consulting. I met Lynn when I was a safety specialist at Austin Powder Company, and he was contracted to come in and change our safety culture. And so I was mentored under Lynn, and I learned a great bit about safety as well as project management.
Cool. So, what has been your best mistake and what did you learn from it?
My best mistake, interesting enough, I would have to go with where I made a B in one of my classes trying to pursue my master engineering degree. So I had done very well academically in my bachelor's degree and in most of my master's degree pursuing that. But in that class, it was my first time I'd ever experienced having to work in a group for my final grade. And what I
Mhm.
realized was not everybody in that group wanted to be a leader, but I had said, hey, this is a great opportunity for all of us to get experience to each take turns being the group leader. And it ended up turning out to not being a good decision. But what helped me realize was as I moved on further in my career, that as I work in groups, you got to realize and recognize that everybody has a different personality trait. And so you try to utilize those personality traits to maximize their performance.
Absolutely, yeah. So, what is your favorite and least favorite part about working in EHS, and would you change anything?
Well, definitely my favorite part is connecting with people. I help workers understand that work shouldn't have to hurt. Uh, kind of growing up and even in working with my other colleagues, there's this mantra of, a hard day's work is satisfying. And at the end of the day, you're going to end up with some pains and aches and stuff. But as I have grown as a safety professional, I've realized that it's not that you're building muscle, it's actually breaking down your body, your musculoskeletal system. And most of that is due to improper body positioning.
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on MSDs? I know I heard you speak at the National Safety Council's MSDs summit that they just had. So, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, so really, it really surprised me going through the National Safety Council pledge and having access to all those resources. But one thing I did get from that program is the employee involvement. And so you engage the employees and try to find out, why are we having these injuries and even near misses. You've got employees that are going home and, a couple of days later they'll say, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, and you're thinking, oh, tough it out. But what you really start to understand is the mechanics of the body, the way it's working in that environment. is they're fatiguing and they're not telling anybody, they're not communicating. So one of the things I just have learned through that program is just engage the employees, and when we have our safety meetings, we actually ask the employees, how are you doing, and how's your end of the day? Are you feeling tired or having any aches or pains? And then, so then at that point is when they start to really open up and saying, okay, so this is, what I believe is happening. And in the industry that we're in, the explosives industry, we do a lot of manual labor out on the benches, in the mines and the quarries. And what we're finding out is, you can engineer out a lot of those tasks and not make it so manual labor. And at the end of the day, it just makes everybody more productive, and then they're able to go home and not have all those aches and pains as well.
Absolutely. And I'm sure like the small repeated movements over time kind of build up and make it worse and lead to like chronic pain and things like that. So,
We do see that in our manufacturing sector as well. Yeah, a lot of those repetitive motion injuries.
absolutely. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on safety culture and how can company leaders make safety a value in their organizations?
Well, at Nelson Brothers, we do recognize that the value of employee communication, much like I was just referring to as employee engagement, but in identifying those hazards in the workplace and promoting that employee participation. So the safety culture really understands about the responsibility of preventing and correcting unsafe behavior and work conditions. And I believe if that is bought into, the employee is going to see that value just for the fact of being able to go home at the end of the day and then feeling better, hopefully better than they felt when they actually came to work that morning.
Absolutely. So, what safety concerns or issues do you think need more prioritization in EHS programs?
I've always talked about this. So I started out in the mining industry doing training on the bench, and then went into mine safety health administration training, refresher training. And a lot of times we will go through an 8 hour refresher and put a video in front of our workforce, and maybe have them fill out a quiz here and there. But and then you say, okay, now you're trained. So I think effective training is really important, and I think it needs more attention, prioritization. Even some of the OSHA programs that are out there, we have to train on all these programs, and there's not enough hours in the day to do so. So you end up just putting them in front of a video, or you have some kind of a online app that they go through and spend 20, 30 minutes. They sign off on that training, and then you put them out into the task to be done, and hope everything goes well. Then at the end of the day, we have an injury, and you're asking yourself, how did this happen? Well, to me, it's just not that effective training. So one of the things we can do is reevaluate that employee after a certain period of time to see how effective that training really was, if they really understood what they were being trained on.
Absolutely, yeah. So, what will be the impact of environmental, social, and governance principles on the EHS industry?
Yeah, this is another hot topic here at Nelson Brothers, especially. We've been talking about this as of late, about making a more robust program for our facilities on ESG. But there is a political divide when you use that terminology, ESG. So business sustainability seems to be more a palatable term to use. And so, because it's very important that we do have that environmental, that social, and the corporate governance piece. It's just, unfortunately, it is becoming very politicized. So we do have individual programs. We just recently got an ISO 14001 certification. So that's very big for us to recognize the environmental piece. And on the social piece, it's really about the employees, making sure they're taken care of. And then the corporate governance is, always going to be in the media, in the spotlight. There's always regulatory oversight. So I believe that's going to always be on the forefront as well. But just the terminology itself, I think we'll probably have to get around that somehow.
Interesting, yeah. So, how will new safety technologies influence the work being done by EHS professionals?
We're really seeing a cultural shift. So you were mentioning about the National Safety Council MSD pledge, and there's really a drive for new technology. And I guess it just depends on the industry that you're in. We do see quite a bit of change with drones and virtual reality training and things of that nature. But I do believe that the safety professional is going to have to get on board with the new technologies. Artificial intelligence seems to be coming up with the chat GPT and things like that.
Mhm.
There's that digital twin technologies for maintenance and design. But all those, it's all computer language. So I think it's going to be very important that the EHS professional understands that technical terminology.
Could not agree more. So to pivot back to you personally, what are you most proud of?
Just being a person of integrity, really. It really comes. So you always think you're that good person. You're going to make that ethical decision. But when I started down the path of certifications, associate safety professional was the first time I was introduced to a code of ethics. And so after reading through that and understanding my responsibility, my role as a professional, that's when I really started to develop that integrity. And as I went on to get my master's in engineering and started reading about the professional engineering code of ethics and how we hold ourselves to a higher standard, that's probably what I'm most proud of, is just that development of the integrity.
Yeah, it's a good thing to be proud of.
Yeah.
So my last question is, do you have any advice for people entering the profession?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, just 20 years in the industry, and you grow and you learn new things. So someone coming into the industry right now, I mean, I would just say welcome to the greatest industry in the market. I mean, this is a great industry to get into, and you have an opportunity to work with people and explore cutting edge technology, work in the environment of your choice. You can outdoors, indoors. So it's just, you're not pigeonholed. You're not in one area, that you can really branch out and discover different industries and in the environments and things. But that being said, I think investing in your mind has got to be your first priority. You got to start learning as much as you can. There's a lot of documents and books that are out there that you can read. But getting a bachelor's degree, and not necessarily just in safety and compliance or safety and health, but getting a bachelor's degree will open up doors to getting certifications. Some of these certifications, like the ASP, you need to have that bachelor's degree in order to even sit for those kind of exams.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like what you said about branching out into different industries because safety is everywhere, right? So
It is.
it's kind of unlimited options.
Right.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for your time. I'm really grateful to have had the opportunity to sit down with you, and I'm sure our audience is going to love to hear all of your insights.
Great. Thank you, Grace. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.